Rockets fans, welcome to the Rockets Launch Pod, an exclusive podcast from the home of the Rockets. Whoa! Sports Talk 790. Rockets! Red Nation, get ready. Get ready. The Rockets Launch Pod starts now.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome back, folks. We are joined today by Gretchen Sheirr, president of the Rockets. I'm Ben DuBose, joined again by Dave Hardisty. We're recording this on Wednesday, the 22nd, the day after the Rockets lost a double overtime regular season opener at Oklahoma City. The downside is that they lost. The upside, it was a very competitive game on the biggest stage, first NBA on NBC game in 20-something years. And the Rockets definitely look like they belonged against the elite of the NBA. So, Gretchen, let's start our conversation on that. How do you balance everything that we saw last night, both, the bad that you had an opportunity to win and didn't, but also the good that, hey, like the Rockets looked like they belonged and it was a really good stage for this team?
Yeah, I think the opening night and kind of opening week of the NBA is so exciting for us. It's like you work all off season. That's the time that we're planning for what's to come for our fans and what's to come for the season. So when that all comes together on one night, it sometimes can super exciting, but sometimes it can feel a little deflating. Like, oh, it's been 6 months and this is opening night. And I just think the NBA back on NBC, right? Being in OKC, seeing as painful as it was, them getting their ring and their banner, their wonderful organization, and just having two teams battle it out to double overtime. It's like it literally lived up to all of kind of the offseason hype about what the potential of this team is and how just exciting the competition in the NBA is right now.
And Ben, if I could ask, I think you've got to be so excited, at least, even though they did come up short in a double overtime game, they had some things that didn't go their way. I mean, just looking at some of these players, how much they've grown. And then, we'll talk about, the addition of KD and stuff, but how exciting is it watching this team and knowing how far you guys have come in just a short time frame?
Yeah. I mean, it's when we were prepping for things that we were talking about, you guys talked about, when I first moved into this role, transitioned, the timing was about the same time that we were rebuilding the roster. And so at that time, we literally did not know who our team was going to be. We were rebuilding a team. We had to teach people who these players were and expose them to their game and their backgrounds and their personality. And so to have that all come together in a phenomenal game last night on national TV to open the NBA season, to have the national audience know our team, know Alpi, know Amen, know Jabbar, all of that was really exciting. I have a tendency to, when I watch the games, watch the business part of the games sometimes and take notes on, different aspects of how crowds react and what different arenas do differently. But I watch the game too.
Let me follow up about Alpi specifically, because I think, your first year was the 21 to 22 season, correct?
Well, I mean,
your first year as president.
My first year was the 2001, 2002 seasons.
Sorry, I meant Tad left and you took over business operations in May of 21, right?
Yeah, in 21. Yeah.
So your first year in your current role was when Alpi's first year in the NBA was, because he was drafted in June of 21.
Yeah, with that group. Yep.
What has it been like watching him as an athlete, as a person? When he first came to Houston and you first met him, I'm assuming in the summer of 21, he didn't speak a lot of English. Obviously, he took the initiative to learn. He learned quickly, and you guys have capitalized on that. I still have, I should have it in the background today, but I've got the Shingun I'm So Happy bobblehead, which was an amazing giveaway from a couple of years ago. But now he's a guy who, on the biggest stage, just went up and put up 39 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists against the best team in the league on the road. He's incredibly charismatic. What's that journey been like? Watching a guy who entered, new to the country, not having much in the way of past experience, and now within a few short years is one of legitimately the best players in the league and still getting better.
Yeah, I think as these guys came in young, I mean, part of our goal, and it was really, I don't want to say a directive from Tillman and the Fertittas and Patrick, but it was to make sure that our fan base in the city and basketball fans in general knew what our goals and our objectives were, right? And it was to get a lot of talent, develop the team, watch them grow. And part of our storyline was like, hey, if you could go back, right, and be a part of insert, sports legend's name, right, and watch them from their rookie year on, knowing how great they would be, that's a cool experience that I think everyone would want to be a part of. And so hopefully we did a good job over the last 4 to 5 years of really telling the story of what we were trying to accomplish, the belief that we had in these young guys, and seeing it all to come together. And his summer, like obviously last year was great for all of the team, and to watch Alpi continue that, right? And Euroball was really exciting, and just get a different level of notoriety, and obviously a talent that our team identified early on, and to see others recognize it and see his game live up to that has been great. Yeah.
And we'll talk about the other guys coming up, most notably KD, but Sengun specifically, how useful is it to you from a business perspective that these young guys, have personality? Like, he's a guy who, when he does these interviews, he pops. And I would say Amin to some extent as well. How useful is it when you have that charismatic factor with guys like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you see it really. I mean, everyone's personality is a little bit different. Their personality on the court versus their general day-to-day demeanor, all has little intricacies, just like anyone in life does. But I think what's so great about this team and the players is that they all like to hoop, right? They love this game. They love the sport. They love doing it together. And, we joked, you joked about Alpi's like, I'm so happy. But when you're just happy to, like in anything, when you're just happy to go to work and you love what you do, and you love the people that you're doing it with, and you love the environment that you're doing it in, everything is better. And it feels like that's the kind of team that the Fertittas and Rafael and Ime have really been building.
Ben mentioned 2001, when you moved into that role, and
I was 5.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I meant to say 2021 when you moved into the president's role. But, a lot of changes certainly occurred then. Obviously, a lot of the drafted players, but also, coaching changed into Ime, a couple of years later. But you guys have had a lot of stability now for several years with you in the president's role, Rafael Stone as GM, the Fertitta family. How beneficial and important is that to you in your job to kind of have that consistency, in the front office and really all the way down to coaching staff now?
Yeah. I mean, I think the same thing that we were just talking about with the players, right? When you have people who hopefully, right, are smart. Hopefully you think I'm smart and talented, right? But are good, good at what they do, who are passionate, whose goals and objectives align with ownerships, that sits, alongside basketball, and you just enjoy being together and working together and doing great things for the city. It's pretty good, and it's hard to find something that can match that. That would be better or different, So it's definitely good. We are super competitive, right? Pushing ourselves to be better, to try new things. And, that's particularly on the business side, but you see it in basketball as well. And we want to be leaders, and we want to set a great example for the city of Houston and deliver a product on and off the court that our fans are proud of.
We've mentioned 21 a few times. How different is this opening week for you in 25 compared to 4 years ago? Because you literally started at the bottom with a team that was last place in the Western Conference. Now, it was by design. Everybody knew they were going into a rebuild. It was strategic. There were legitimate basketball and organizational reasons for doing so. But you're in the business of selling the product and making sure that it's profitable. So now that you have this team in 25, led by the likes of Alperen Sengun and Kevin Durant and Amin Thompson, with clear expectations that can go toe-to-toe with the defending champs in OKC, how different is your job kicking off the 25 to 26 season and selling this team relative to when you started 4 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, remember my job is obviously running the business of the Rockets, but we also operate Toyota Center. So when you think about, as this transition was happening, I was moving into, into this role. It was also, you're coming out of COVID. You talked about the season by design, but remember that was limited attendance.
Yep.
So one of the first things that we did was host the first full indoor capacity event with UFC on, I think it was May 15th, 2021, right? So when you think back of just about where the world was and where live entertainment was in that time frame to now, and again, we were drafting players. We didn't know who we were going to draft. We were starting a season with Jay Sean was here, right? But other than that, like everybody else was kind of new or different. And it was really, this franchise has been around since 1967, has been in Houston shortly after that. Coaches have come and gone, GMs have come and gone, presidents have come and gone, players have come and gone, right? And it's really just collectively what this franchise has meant to this city. And so it was really making sure that people understood, our goals and our vision to get back to championship caliber on the court. And then our job was really to make sure that everything off the court remained championship caliber. And hopefully we did that, but it was a lot of storytelling. It was a lot of promotions. It was a lot of, this is why it's fun to come to an event and be back in person with people, right? So there was a little bit of that was happening at the time. And as your product starts to develop and starts to speak a little bit more for itself, by delivering, on-court wins and excitement and player development, it starts to become a little bit more, right, about the game. And the experience has always been more than a game, right? Like it's, you go, you have a great time, you're with your friends, your families, your clients, you're creating memories. And obviously it's wonderful if you win or, if you win the game, but most of the time when people talk about their most impactful experiences about sport, it is about that time and that connection that they have with other people, regardless of what happens. So we spent a lot of time telling that story, right? And now we can spend a little bit more time talking about, being super competitive and hoping for big things on the court.
Kevin Durant, I know once famously said, you know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant. That's like this famous thing. And it's true because everybody knows Kevin Durant. It's like over decades of basketball, fans just know this guy. And he has been a major impact superstar for this league for so many years. How has that impacted your job? What has the impact been since, you guys acquired him? How has that impacted the business and maybe your job in particular since Kevin Durant has gotten here?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to ever say what one thing, right, does anything. I do think it's a culmination of that. We talked about kind of what we have been doing, what our team has been doing, how much our marketing, our communications team has been working to kind of promote and tell the story of this team. And last year you saw it come together, right? Well, you saw it come together prior to last year, right? But last year, the return to the playoffs. So you have all of these things happening, not at the same time, but in parallel paths. So we had a lot of growth last year. We had excitement about going back to the playoffs. We had a thrilling series going to Game 7, right? And so that momentum was really already kind of coming from our fan base, from excitement. We were getting notoriety, and then you layer in a player like the Hall of Fame, like one of the best to have ever done this, into that mix, right? We call it sometimes in the industry peak on peak. It starts to become peak on peak, right? And would that have been the same had last year's momentum not have already started? Yes, like there would have been excitement and there would have been, a notoriety of someone of his caliber, coming to this market and coming to this team. But I do think that kind of the addition to him to the team and the foundation that was already built is really what kind of led to the excitement and growth that we're seeing. And obviously when you have a name that's been around for, almost 2 decades, right? It's a story that doesn't need to be, it's been told. People know his name, they know who he is. And so it's yeah, right. Like it's definitely helpful.
And the figures you guys sent out the other day in the press release, so it's roughly a 25% bump in season ticket packages and a 300% bump in merchandise. Like it's relative to, I'm not sure if it's the end of last season or the beginning of last season, but these are pretty big figures, right?
Yeah, I mean, you and I've talked about sort of some of the numbers that kind of get thrown out sometimes, but I mean, really, it's just been the steady growth of what we've seen. And when you're in an off season, it's really busy for us, on the business side. Like that's the time where the arena is busy. We're working on projects. We're planning for the season. The day the schedule is released, we are starting to work through retail promotions and ticket promotions and all of the things that go into running things behind the scenes. So when you look at, an off season, when you have that much excitement layering on top of everything else, it's really good.
And as a follow-up, obviously people want to ask about prices. When you bring in someone like Kevin Durant and you have a team that's near the top of the league, at least in terms of expectations. And, well, it's not just expectations. You finished with the second best record in the West last year and the fourth best in the NBA. So this is legitimately one of the best teams in the league. It's not just projecting. And so people want to know, how expensive is it going to be? And, the single game model, obviously big draws are going to cost more, especially if, it's a game like KD against LeBron, potentially KD against Steph Curry, those rivalries that define NBA history. But I had heard that really there wasn't a huge bump when it came to the season ticket packages because you guys wanted to really prioritize building that base and getting people, back in the habit of coming to games much more consistently. How important is it to focus on, obviously you're going to have some people that want to go to just a given game, but it feels like you guys have really prioritized the packages and getting people, as many as possible into your pool of regular attendees.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really important to Tillman and the Fertitta family. Like, remember, this is the 9th year, right? That they are coming in, which is crazy, wow. Right? Yeah. You blink and time goes, but remember, like he's one of the longest season ticket holders and is the biggest fan of this franchise dating back. And so having a full building, having a city, and having a fan base that is engaged is absolutely the top priority. Like, make no mistake, like we are a business, but filling our building and having fans that are there, that are excited, that are engaged, and that are proud of what we are doing is key. So people can go on right now and go to rockets.com. There are still seats available for the home opener. It will sell out for Friday. I won't go into kind of industry changes post-COVID and ticket buying habits of the consumer. We know all of those, right? But it's seats are available. There's plenty of affordable options. One thing that we've also added, Monday, we will have a Stranger Things night. There will be a promotion on it. Then next Monday, we have Dallas, and there's a men promotion that's going on. 2 weeks later, there's going to be something almost every night that provides an option, a very affordable option for a fan to come to our game. So I feel very confident and very proud of that ability. Last year, you may have noticed we dabbled in some kind of happy hour promotional pricing with sodas and popcorn. Part of that is early arrival, right? Like Houston is a huge city. It's continuing to grow. It will continue to grow. It shows no sign of stopping. That obviously adds to some traffic challenges. And we had really good feedback. We do surveys after every game with our fans, and that was something that people were clamoring for. So the kids meal is now a permanent item. So for $5.95, if you're bringing a family, you can get a full kids meal. I think it's nuggets and fries and a drink. We have $3.99 hot dogs, sodas, and popcorn in multiple stands in the clubs, in the lower bowl, and in the upper bowl. So really making sure that no matter who's coming, when they're coming, that's an affordable option is available.
And one more KD question. This is a quick one, but obviously when you have a star of that stature, you use them to help sell the product. That's how all sports leagues, especially the NBA, work. The last 3 or 4 months, what's it been like getting to know him? What's he like behind the scenes?
He likes basketball. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen, I've only seen the first 2 episodes just because life is kind of crazy right now of starting 5. But, he was described as like watching him play like to a symphony. Right. And so there's this artist in science, like he's, it's great to watch his game, but like he's a worker. He's really smart and he's super excited to be in Houston.
I always joke around that my wife and kids are kind of, casual fans. Then the joke to me has always been my wife will ask if Yao Ming's still on the team. She kind of casually follows the Rockets. But when they go to a game, and they have such a good time. It is such an event. You don't have to be, a diehard fan of the team or follow it religiously to have such a great time at a game. At least that's been the experience that they tell me. What is, you've touched on this a little bit as far as promotions, but the experience has grown so much of just being at a basketball game, NBA game, specifically the Rockets. But what is different this year, if anything, in consuming a game at Toyota Center?
Yeah, I mean, we are expecting good crowds, so that will be that we're excited about. But look, last year, I mean, this was the 23rd season in Toyota Center, right? And it's this balance of when people come to a game, they know what to expect. There's a nostalgia, something that's comfortable. They know how to get, with also layering in new experiences and things that are different. So over the past 2 years, last year the scoreboard went up, but it started 2.5 years earlier. That was a huge technology upgrade, from control room to wiring to fiber, all inside of the bowl, that added that new digital technology, because that's so much more part of the game. And then the new scoreboard was up last year. And so it really all year was kind of toying around with different effects on the scoreboard and how to engage the crowd. And they got their sea legs last year. So some cool scoreboard integrations are coming. The post-game win with the rocket boosters has been a really fun, cool visual that's coming. One thing that we hear a lot from fans is we have a t-shirt gun. It can get seats to the upper bowl. We get it, right? But it's like you only have so much time in a timeout. So we've added a hype squad for upstairs for each of the aisles and each of the sections, so that when we're doing those promotions and crowd engagement on the court, that our fans in the upper bowl have more connectivity to that. We've shifted around some of the hot timeouts, right, to bring some of that energy to the court. I think that you've seen over the last few years, right, just the fun, our attendance, fans that were coming to games were really into the game. Our crowds have been phenomenal, and keeping that energy and that home court is there. So you'll see a lot of interaction this year, with the appropriate amount of interaction with our game presentation with fans, to help people, stay in the game from start to finish, with all of that excitement to help create that Toyota Center home court advantage. And then, I mentioned it's the 23rd season, so it's not as sexy all the time as a new scoreboard and digital board, but starting, I think it's 14 days from now, the first seat will come out. And so those seats are original to Toyota Center. They were very well made. It was a great investment, but they definitely have seen their time. And so we will start on the upper concourse between games and concerts, and we'll be replacing seats section by section throughout the course of the season and into the off season, including if you go to concerts, you notice that the setup is different. Some of the seats are pushed back in and out. Those are on retractable systems that are original to the building, and those are getting updated as well. So the whole seating will have a different look and feel, with a more modern, sleek look. So we're excited about it.
As a follow-up to the fan engagement theme, so we've talked a lot about, getting fans in the door, and you talked about some of the initiatives to keep the upper level more engaged. One of the big questions that comes up amongst diehards is how you get the close fans to be engaged, because those are the ones that show up on TV. And I get so many questions throughout a year, and it's so tiring. Why aren't fans at the game? I'm like, these tickets are sold. I promise you. It's that, well, you mentioned Houston traffic. That's obviously, especially early in games, often a factor, particularly on weeknights. But also, you've got these lounges, you've got Lexus, PNC. And so, especially if it's like the last few years and the team isn't winning at a high level, you might have someone that spends a little bit more time in the lounge, especially if they're bringing in, clients. That's a, business type event. I think organically some of this will resolve itself as the games get bigger, the matchups get bigger. We saw in the playoffs, there weren't nearly as many empty seats on TV because obviously everyone's way more engaged. It's playoff basketball. Yet, at the same time, I understand why fans ask the question. So what do you guys do to make sure that your higher dollar ticket buyers, the folks in the club sections that show up in the background of TV shots, that those people are engaged and hopefully in their seats, as early and as often as possible?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's sports. It's the age old, right? It's the age old question. This is a huge city with a lot to do, coming from a variety of places. That's always going to be a challenge, right? It's human nature. It's human behavior. I think that our fans are fantastic and wonderful. Some of it is, I sound like a broken record. Some of it is angles, right? Like 4 seats that are dead on a camera might be the only 4 seats, but if that's what the shot is, that's what it looks like. And in an end zone or in an upper bowl, you might not notice that on TV. But our fans have been fantastic. They're definitely engaged. Yes, there's times they're getting a drink. Yes, there's times that they're eating. Yes, there's times that they may be conducting business or see a friend to and from the seats. Like, that's life. And that means that they're having a good time and they're enjoying it. And that's okay. And they're there when it counts. They're engaged in the game. And I think that this is a great market with great sports fans, and we feel pretty good about it. But I understand why they ask the questions.
The experience at Toyota Center to me has grown tremendously, and it's like an event now. It's like going to a concert. Like I said, you don't have to be, a diehard fan to necessarily enjoy what is going on there for a game.
Yeah.
Well, 2-part question. So you mentioned some of the new things for this season, such as the seating upgrades. Obviously, that's not the only thing that you guys have going on at present or in the last couple of years, because this is now the 3rd decade that Toyota Center's been in use. So there's been a number of...
Stop making me feel old. 3rd decade.
I know. But it's factually true. You're 23, right? So there's been a lot of... projects that have been funded by the Fertitta family the last few years. So just, catch us up overall on what those are, how Toyota Center is going to look different in, say, 2030 than it did in 2020, besides the obvious that we hope in 2030 there are actually, sold out crowds in contrast to 2020. But just catch us up on the overall, improvement program, and also, speak to why it's so important beyond simply the Rockets games, because, Dave just mentioned concerts. Obviously, you want this building to bring in business outside of just the 41 or I guess 43 plus playoffs home games that you have for the Rockets. You want to bring in concerts. People always ask about the WNBA, the NHL, any opportunities that might be there on that front. March Madness is coming back this year. You didn't get it in 2020. You do get it this year. What all have you done from a, renovations perspective, and why is it so important in regards to, bringing in business outside of the Rockets?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like, we live in one of the largest, most populous, continuing to grow cities with a diverse population. So making sure that this building is programmed year round for concerts, other events, obviously as many basketball games as possible that we can play in there is always fantastic. But so much of the work, like our facilities team, our maintenance team, our arena crew is so good. Like, it's, when you look at the bones of Toyota Center and how well I think that we have maintained and managed that is a great sign, right? The mayor talks about, the health of a region really being the health of your downtown. And so with the development, when the baseball park opened, when we opened, when George R. Brown was there, the Hilton Americas was built, Discovery Green was built, Marriott Marquis was there. None of that was there, right? When we moved to the east side of downtown originally. Houston First and the Convention Center is working on an expansion that will continue to transform the backside of that. And then the highway project is coming. So when you think about just our city, and how great of a position the city in general is for growth. You've seen, business. Eli Lilly just made an announcement. Like, you see all of these things that are coming to this city and this region, making sure that the landmarks, right, that are core to entertainment, which is such a part of our community and our society, continue to stay first class and top notch is important. A lot of that work no one will ever see. You do not want me to talk about the piping projects and the electrical projects and the work that goes into the bones of the building that our team is literally working on 365 days a year to make sure that this building stays top notch. But when we think about from when the Fertittas came in, there was a Lexus Lounge update. We updated PNC. We changed some of the concessions to make them speed of service and different varieties coming in. We refreshed the Sire Spirits Club. We updated the media dining lounge and workspace to make, yes, there you go, to make sure that everyone was in a great place. We put on a new roof in the building, right? Because none of these things matter if a 23-year-old roof is leaking on a court, which it was not, but we needed to be proactive for that. We are now looking at the seats. So you will continue to see things come kind of year in and year out to make sure that that is the case. But at the same time, this arena serves this city and this region. And so we need to do it when we are operating and we are having concerts. And so scheduling when work can be done to improve the building while still delivering quality content to the region is key. March, you mentioned the regionals. We had planned to host it in March in 2020. Obviously, with COVID, that event did not happen in our facility, so we were able to get in 2026. So we're very excited to be hosting that. We'll see. It'll be a while before we know which teams are there, but hopefully some competition and some luck of a draw goes our way for this region. We've got other events that we haven't held in a long time. The Globetrotters are coming back to Toyota Center, which is really exciting. They'll be here in February. We worked with the city on a huge event that's coming, NCAA Cheer. It's 40,000. It's a cheer competition that will happen throughout the convention center and the arena that will bring 40,000 people to this city to experience Houston. And so we have the Republican National Convention coming in 2028, which is a citywide event, but the actual event that will be on TV for a week will be inside of Toyota Center. The footprint is very attractive to the events that we talked about, March Madness, All-Star Games. So it's a really exciting time for the city and the facility for sure.
Yeah, and with regards to March Madness, I should point out there was a subtle change recently. There's a host institution, and it was recently changed from the University of Houston to Rice. And so what that enables, and this is well beyond your pay grade, Gretchen, I'm aware of that. It comes down to, the NCAA selection committee. But if the committee decides that U of H is going to be we hope they're the top seed in the South region, then because Rice is now the host institution and not U of H can play in the March Madness games at Toyota Center because of that change. Obviously, you don't have control on that front. It's the selection committee. U of H needs to go out and have a good season, all of those caveats. But yeah, there is a path now for U of H to actually play at Toyota Center in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, which I'm guessing would be pretty good for business, right?
All right. That would be fun.
I know you mentioned earlier that you noticed things, took notes from a business side from the game last night. I know Ben and I, when we watch games, we just take notes for basketballs of things that we can discuss after the game. What are those things that you notice from a business perspective, maybe if a game in OKC or a game in New York or anywhere else that maybe, our eyes would not see, that things that you look for from a business standpoint?
Yeah, I when I'm watching a game in another arena, obviously I'm watching the game. I'm a fan. I'm doing that. Sometimes someone will notice something and I was like, oh, I didn't notice that. I saw that they ran this 360 LED sponsor signage in a way that I hadn't seen before, and my eye goes there at times. But I watched how they gave their rings to their team. I watched how they raised the banner. I watched how, NBC will be on national TV 28 times this year, right? With multiple new broadcast partners. So I watched where their setup was, how large was their table, where did they have their sideline reporters, things that from an operation standpoint will be relatively consistent, right? A broadcast is, I would say a broadcast is a broadcast. NBC did a phenomenal job really making opening night feel like opening night. It was just fantastic. Yeah. But there's subtle differences that, on a setup crew, on where the wires are pulled and where the tables go and where I need to clear out where I might have an usher is now where a sideline reporter is, right? Like those are the types of things that I'm looking at and thinking about a lot of times during a game. And then how they engage, what they do to engage their crowd, right? How is their get loud noise? How are they using their sponsor signage? Is there a way that they show, their replays in game that has their fans reacting away or not? All the things that are business related decisions in a game, I watch when I am at away games or watching on TV. Sometimes the stuff that I look for is hard to see on TV. It's easier to see in person.
Yeah. All right, shifting gears, and this will be the last question for me. You had a busy offseason personally because you brought in a couple of new executives on the business side. So tell us about the folks you brought in, and why is it important for you to sort of, continually look outside the organization for, hires that can elevate the experience? Like what are these new hires potentially going to do for the business side of the team that maybe you couldn't do before?
Yeah. One, I've known you guys for a long time. Like I've had every opportunity to grow internally in this organization. We have a business staff that has been here that has a ton of tenure, that speaks to the culture that we have built and the opportunities that we have created for people to grow their careers working for phenomenal owners in a great city. So, Clay Allen and Larry Kaiser, who is our CFO, who's been there for 27 years, Doug Hall, who is our general manager of the arena, Tracy Hughes, who has been there since I think she was born, like me, Z French, who runs our ticketing, Don Keene, and Sarah Gibson. And we have so many people that have been a part of this organization for so long. You talked about in 2021 and kind of where we were and where we knew we were going to go on the court and also on the business side. And we talked about the renovations. We talked about events that we are looking at differently that we want to track to Toyota Center. We talked about potential other opportunities to program the building, in different ways. We talked about the business growth that happens. And so having some external folks that have done this for a long time in the business that I have respected as friends and colleagues that had the opportunity to do something different and to help us, when you look at something the same time for 20 plus years, you don't always see things, right? This is how we've always done it. This is the case. And so having a fresh set of eyes to make sure that we're always trying to improve and push. And then for me, a lot of that is, remember, I've been here for a long time. And so some of the decisions and some of the things that we do might have been something that I put in place. Maybe we should evolve and not do that anymore, right? But that's hard for someone to do when it was it was something that not that anything is ever my decision, right? So, Ryan and I have worked together since 2002. He was literally one of the first people that I met in the business that was not in the city of Houston. So he had come down to. We had started this new department at the Rockets, and the Timberwolves heard about it and they thought it was a good idea. And this is before league meetings and conferences and virtual calls. So they flew him to Houston to see what we were doing. And that's when I met him, and he went back to Minnesota and replicated it and did a good job, and has been someone that I bounce ideas off for a while. And we had been working to kind of restructure some of our other areas to add some support. It just all kind of happened to occur kind of at the same time. So maybe it feels sudden, but it's things that we have been working on for multiple years, and right time, right place came into play. But it's really just to add, just like when you're building a team, right? You want to add kind of free agents when the right time comes to make your team, glue together and push further. And same thing on the business side. Yeah.
And how do you pronounce Ryan's last name?
Tanky.
Okay. I wasn't sure. And then he's
unless you're my phone, and Siri or whoever connects it says Ryan Tonk. So
yeah. And then Laura Meyer is the other one you brought in from the Timberwolves, right?
Yes. Yeah. Laura's great. Same thing. We've worked there. She's one of the smartest people in the business on the business intelligence side. That's really kind of technology, consumer segmentation, that, all the things that we talked about what do you do when business grows and how do you maximize your tickets and still provide fan-friendly pricing. And she's just an expert in that area and has really helped us.
Well, that's everything on my list.
Season, yeah.
Dave, anything else you wanted to get to?
No, I just was going to say it's going to be an amazing season. I think you guys are going to have tremendous success this year. If last night is any indicator, like I was telling Ben last night in our post game that like I felt like I played some of the game because it was so up and down, so emotional, so drama filled. It was so
it's so
exciting.
funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny when you said that because when one of the things I was like, I'm not going to say that. When you were like, what were your impressions of last night? I was like, I'm going to be tired this season, right? Like that was I didn't play, but I'm going to be tired, right? Because it is super exciting. And I know with your following and just how wonderful you guys have been through the years and how great it's been to work with you, not only professionally, but to know you guys personally as all. Congratulations on all the success. I'd be remiss if I did not give a shout out to kind of our production and our content crew, particularly for the folks that are watching or listening and will be reading this. I mean, I think you guys know we have Emmy-winning, award-winning game presentation for our video board and all of our content. But basketball has been so fantastic of, access and some behind the scenes. So if you haven't gone to our YouTube channel to watch our first episode of In Flight, we will be doing about an 8 to 10 episode throughout the season that kind of gives some behind the scenes looks on, what this team is building. And so the first episode was released the other day. It's kind of a behind the scenes media day, KD's kind of first look at the arena. So be sure to check that out.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's at Houston Rockets, I believe, on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Can you tell people again before we close just where to go to get tickets? Because I think
always go to rockets.com.
Good stuff.
Just go directly to us. If there are in the industry, we would call it a primary seat, which means it is being directly sold from us. It will be available. It is our pricing, not the secondary marketing pricing. And there's also integration on the secondary market. So if it's sold out, you still go to rockets.com. You will see the other listings as well.
Yeah.
Or the app, rockets.com or the app. You can connect to it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And those videos, the production quality is just so good. I'm consistently in awe of the technology that you guys have. And, even just the behind the scenes stuff from practices at the new practice facility, which is another thing that the Fertitta family has invested in recent years. The technology that they use is really good. I'm consistently impressed. So yeah, those behind the scenes will be really good. Folks,
they are a talented group.
Folks, that's Gretchen Sheirr, President of Business Operations with the Houston Rockets. I'm Ben DuBose on behalf of me and Dave Hardisty, editor of Clutch Fans. Gretchen, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you. And so good to see you, Dave. You too, Ben.
Gretchen. Thank you.